Let's talk the club. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk the club. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here, the Let's Talk the Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk the Cutler virtual book club, the Let's Talk the Cutler YouTube platform. And just in case you're stopping by for the first time, I'll give you a few disclaimers to just let you know that this channel, this station, this platform is about positivity. It's about optimism. It is about inspiration. It's about motivation. It's about not only that, but we engage in this whole notion of challenging ourselves as well. We challenge ourselves to make sure that we showed up better today than we did yesterday. It doesn't mean that yesterday was a flop. It means that we were intentional about evolving and becoming better, stronger and wiser with the time that we've been given. And then it's about making sure that we are intentional and deliberate in our efforts to become more resolute in our character, and making sure that we become better tomorrow, more so than we were today. And as I often say, it's about making sure that we strive to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations. I just, that mantra just magnetizes me, or I magnetize myself to it, making sure that I strive to be my best self and show up my best self, even in the worst of situations. That's why we spend these 1800 seconds together. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for those of you who have been with me for the long haul. Thank you so much for sticking it out and contributing to the success of this platform and making sure that we engage in meaningful dialogue. I'm telling y'all, I am determined. I'm determined to be my best self, even in the worst of situations. At least that is my intention now. My intention, of course, I may miss a few I's and I might miss a few T's, but it is my intention to make sure that, for the most part, I'm showing up my best self, even in the worst of situations. Making sure that my character shines, make sure that my integrity is always on display, and that it is not up for questioning. And I just want to make sure that I'm the best version of myself each day. It doesn't mean that I'm a perfect person, but it means that each day I strive to be the best version of myself that I can. Listen, if you have not already done so, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And after you subscribe, click the notification bell. It lets you know whenever I've gone live, whenever I've uploaded new content. Thank you, those of you who are joining me over in the chat. Thank you so much. I tend to say that the top 3 people in the chat are the LTTC VIPs, and it's just a friendly competition that we have here to see who gets in there first and who says, hey, everyone, and how's everybody doing? But I always enjoy the dialogue that takes place in the chat, because when I catch the replay, sometimes it encourages me. It lets me know that we really are indeed like-minded people, just here for encouragement to others and for strengthening to others. And I love that so much about this platform. I love it so much about you all who participate in the chats. It's about saying hi and being cordial and just strengthening each other. And you strengthen each other by your presence. I need to say that again. Sometimes you strengthen each other simply by your presence, just by showing up. Have you ever walked into a place, or have you ever been sitting in a place and somebody else walked in and you were encouraged just by their presence alone? It is the same way with you. There are people who are on the reciprocal end of what you just received. When you're sitting there and somebody walks in and you are encouraged by their presence, the same thing happens with people, to some people, when you walk in. So never take your presence for granted. Never take the power of your presence for granted. Never diminish the value of ability to change the temperature in a room simply by your presence. That's a gift, you all. And I'm not saying that out of arrogance or out of conceit, but I'm saying that you have that gift. You must know that you have the ability to change the temperature of the room simply by showing up. Show up. Show up, because in somebody's life, when you show up, you're making a life changing, you're having a life changing impact on them. Show up for somebody else the way somebody showed up for you. Here you are. I want to talk about attention seekers and how to handle attention seekers. And you all are probably saying, Cutler, why are you talking about attention seekers? Where does that come from? Well, on this Tuesday, we're almost through with this month. Today is the 25th of July, and there's still this article, this story that's in the news. And uh, one of my friends and I were just briefly talking about it earlier today, and you all probably already know about this. Maybe you've seen in the news this young lady named Carly Russell, who ultimately said that she lied about seeing a lost child, and she lied about being abducted. And you all probably just followed the story. This Alabama woman, she went missing for 2 days. Have you all seen the story? She went missing for 2 days after placing a call and telling 911 that she found a stranded toddler. Can you all believe that? Now, you all know usually I don't go in the news and pick up issues and articles out of the news, but this young lady called 911, told them that she found a stranded toddler. Now, come to find out, she has admitted that she was not kidnapped and that she did not see a young child stranded on the side of the highway. I was having the conversation with a good friend of mine, and we were talking about that, and I said, so fill me in on the details, because at some point I reach a saturation point, kind of like a sponge. When I've saturated as much as I can about a particular issue, a particular storyline, I just can't take anymore. And he said, well, she just wanted the attention of, and I said, stop right there. Don't tell me that this young lady did all of this because she was just trying to get somebody's attention. Attention seekers can be dangerous. And this whole concept of wanting attention can just divert the purity of your journey. Because you can be on a journey, on a way to destiny, on your way to have something done, or on your way to a success, or on your way to a victory. But then all of a sudden, when you are no longer focused on the end result or the end thing, but you are focused on gaining the attention of somebody, that can cause you to deviate from your path. It can cause you to divert from your journey, and that's not necessarily a good thing. So I really want to talk this evening about how to handle attention seekers, because it's a big deal. It is a big deal. Handling attention seekers is a big deal, because how many of us know attention seekers? And don't put up any hands here. How many of us may have been attention seekers at one point? And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about attention seekers. What is it? What defines an attention seeker as such? And then I want to talk about, I want to make sure that we recognize this behavior. Because there are times when we have things going on in our face, in our space, in our circles, and we pretend that we don't see it. We'll act like we are an ostrich with our head stuck in the sand, buried in the sand, and we're looking right at issues that are confronting us. And we just, as long as we don't put a label on them, we can act like we ignore them. But I want to point out some examples of attention-seeking behavior. What causes attention seeking? And then how do we deal with it? How do we handle it? Because the truth of the matter is, if we're entirely honest, we all have enjoyed receiving some level, some kind of attention. And then there are times when you get more than you want, and you're embarrassed and you're uncomfortable and you feel a little anxiety about all of that. But what about the people who thrive off of attention from people? Because the challenge is that they want people to validate them. And what have I said on this platform? You don't get to validate me. Don't let anybody think they get to validate you. They can affirm you, but there's only one who can validate you. because that means if you let people know that they can validate you, you're also saying that they can invalidate you. They can make you worth nothing. They can devalue you. They can place a demerit on your life, but absolutely not. Attention seekers are looking for people to validate them and to speak to their value and to speak to their worth and to speak to their their um their presence and to speak to their purpose. You don't always need other people to do that. You don't always need other people to validate you. I'm very calm in my demeanor because I want this to sink in. I want this to settle in, y'all. Listen, I'm gonna travel, y'all. Y'all can always tell when I'm gonna travel because the background of the scenes and all this stuff changed. But that conversation really hit me, and I thought, my goodness, we really do have attention seekers in our circles and in our spaces. How do we recognize it, and how do we handle it? How do we deal with it? And I'm just going to check the chat out to see what you all are saying about how do we handle attention seeking people. Now that we know what the behavior is, we know that it's all about being validated. And unfortunately, a part of attention seeking comes with another cousin called manipulation. I'm trying to get your attention, and sometimes I'll manipulate you to get your attention. That's not good. That's not good. That's not healthy. That's not promising at all. There's nothing good about that because we see it, and I just need to point this out, you all, because I'm sure we have seen this many times. Have you ever seen people who just become familiar too quickly? I'll put this out there. I'm not saying that everyone who exhibits these particular personality traits are attention seekers, but I am suggesting that attention seekers, for the most part, carry these or can carry these personality traits. I read them somewhere. I'll have to come back and share that with you. But one of the things that happens with attention seekers, you all, is that they become too familiar. They become too familiar too quickly. I mean, you just met me and you've invited me over for dinner in 5 minutes. You don't even know me. That's the sign of an attention seeker, someone who becomes too familiar too quickly. You met me 30 seconds ago and now you've invited me to the family cookout. What? That's becoming too familiar too quickly. And that could be an indicator of one who's an attention seeker. And then what about a person who's never wrong? Absolutely never wrong. Attention seeking people, they have this combative nature because they're always ready for a fight. They're always ready for a fight. And if there's nothing to fuss or fight or argue over, they will create stuff. They're always right. Even if you prove them wrong, they're always right. Attention seekers. Have you all met people like that? They become familiar too quickly. They're never wrong. And even if they're wrong, they're going to be right. And then not only that, but they thrive off of compliments. I'm talking about attention seeking people, you all. And I'm just pointing this out because a lot of times we see this behavior in people and we ignore it and we keep on going and we act like it's normal and it's natural, but it's not. I'm offering us the power to look through this lens tonight, to look through the lens and examine our relationships and examine our own behavior sometimes. Do I ever become too familiar too quickly? Do I have the personality that says I'm never wrong? Do you have to compliment me if you're going to be around me? I mean, there are some people that you've seen when you're around them. Oh, you just have to drop rose petals. You have to make all these kind of compliments. You have to talk about how their hair look, how their clothing look. You have to talk about their job. You have to talk about their house. You have to talk about the car. You just got to pay all kinds of compliments. Have you ever seen people like that? And just fishing for compliments. They won't walk in the wealth of their lives and just enjoy it. They won't walk in the beauty of who they are and what they have and just enjoy it, but they seek compliments. It's not enough for them to have and enjoy. You've got to comment and compliment them on what they have and what they are enjoying. And then on top of all of that, with everything that they have, they're going to brag about it. I'm just talking. I know people who fit these categories, who fit all of these boxes. I can check the box off, all of these boxes off on several people, and I realize these people may be attention seekers. I'm just helping us. You all tell me if these categories help you identify some of the people in your life. Sometimes you wonder why people get on your nerves and why you don't want to be around people. It may be because they're attention seekers. Too familiar too quickly. Perhaps an attention seeker. I'm just saying it could happen. They're never wrong. Perhaps an attention seeker. Compliments, you've got to compliment them, an attention seeker. And even though you compliment them, they're still going to brag because they're the best at everything. They're the first to do this and the first to do that. And if you have one, they have five. If you have three, they have seven. If you've gone 5 miles, they've gone 50. Just have to brag. It is called the whole notion of superiority. It's crucial. It's crucial to attention seekers. Being the center of attention. Showing off. Bragging, this whole notion of bragging. I'm talking about how to identify attention seekers. But then there are times when you need and you want them around, and they're absent. And sometimes when they show up, they're still absent. Did y'all get that? Sometimes when they show up, they are still absent. They're not present. And you have to stop and ask yourself, how many people in my life, in my circle, fit these categories? Perhaps, just perhaps, I have some attention seekers in my circle, in my space, in my life. So let's talk about what may cause that. Where does that come from? Sometimes I was reading something that says there sometimes can be past trauma that people suffer, that people go through, that they've encountered. Maybe something happened in the childhood, I don't know. Or it could be a very recent traumatic experience. And it could be with a number of people. It could be with a relationship. It could be with a job. It could be anything. It could be with educational goals. It could be with financial situations. It could be anything. So some traumatic experience really could cause this whole notion of becoming an attention seeker. Insecurities. A lot of times people are insecure. When you're trying to determine, when you're attempting to discern and understand what causes attention-seeking behavior, insecurity is sometimes at the top of the list. It checks the box off when you ask why. Insecurity is the answer to the why. Can I tell you another answer to the why in terms of why people can be so insecure? Another reason is jealousy, you all. Yeah, insecurity, of course. But jealousy is such a green-eyed monster until it will rear its ugly head. People can sometimes feel threatened by things that they don't know. So if you and I are friends and we introduce somebody else, or I introduce somebody else to the equation to bring in another friend into the equation, sometimes people just become jealous. They really do. That's the bottom line. So jealousy, insecurities. Sometimes the people are feeling alone and they're feeling lonely and lonesome, and all of those are not necessarily the same thing, because you can be in a crowd and still feel lonely. But a lot of times, sometimes, well, not a lot of times, but sometimes some people are feeling alone. They feel like they need the attention to say, hey, I'm over here. A lot of people who went through the pandemic, as we went through the pandemic, they were feeling lonely, lonesome, and alone, all of that. And then sometimes we have, and then we have to deal with that whole notion: are they attention seekers, or is this just a need? Because everybody has a need for touch, a need for people, a need for a need to share time and space, physical space with someone. And of course, remember that whole notion of the pandemic. That with the pandemic, that's what happened. But I'm talking about something far beyond that. Seeking attention so that you can be validated by what someone else says or what someone else does. I'm not wasting my time on trying to be validated by what anybody else says or does. I'm not. And I think you all know that about me. And I offer that to you all as well. Don't give anyone the power to think that they can validate you. Take your power back. Take your power back. Maybe we ought to write that in the chat. I'm taking my power back. Nobody gets to validate or invalidate me. But these are reasons why we see people becoming attention seekers. I hope, I sincerely hope that we can see these patterns. Not that I'm hoping you have attention seekers in your circle and in your space, but I'm hoping that if you do, then by having this conversation, you recognize them for who they are. And they will drain you. Because you don't get to validate or invalidate them, and they're looking for you to do the thing that you don't have the authority or the capability of doing. And you know what's horrible, you all? There are people who think that they really do have the capability and the forward and the wherewithal to invalidate people, but they don't. It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder, you all. It just makes me wonder when I think about that young lady, Carly Russell in Alabama. It makes me wonder, what is it? What was she looking for? Whose attention was she seeking? What deficit did she have in her life? What hole might she have had in her soul to cause her to do that? A lot of times people have incompleteness. It's what I call a hole in your soul. They have incompleteness in their lives, and it makes them reach out to people to say, hey, I feel incomplete. I feel broken, and I need you to validate me. Sometimes in our own lives, we may have felt that way and had that stage, but remember to take your power back and remind people you don't get to validate or invalidate me, because if you give that power to people, you're also giving them the wherewithal to manipulate you. I almost got lost in that conversation because I've seen it happen so much. I've seen it happen so much, you all. Let's not become attention seekers, but let's not be manipulated by attention seekers either. We just cannot do it. So those were some examples of the kinds of behavior. And then we talked about the causes, what causes that kind of behavior. And I guess the other question is how do you handle it? How do you deal with it? What do you do? You all tell me, what do you suggest? What would you recommend? How do we handle attention seekers? How do we deal with that? People who have given us the authority or have caused us to feel like we get to validate or invalidate them. How do you handle that kind of person? What do you do? I can tell you on, I don't want to say on a insignificant level, but one of the things you can do from time to time is just provide the attention that they need. Don't get sucked into the trap or lured into the snare, but from time to time you might provide the attention that they need. Why would I say that? Because they won't keep pestering you and bothering you for attention if you go ahead and give them the attention that they need. So that's one way to handle it, but handle it to the point that where it's not detrimental to you. Provide a little attention that they need. And then don't become so frustrated. Try to find the positive in what they do, and you can just you can praise their positivities. Speak well of what they speak well of what they've done well. Focus on the good. Ignore the flaws and the quirks because those probably bother you, particularly from attention seekers. And then you don't necessarily want to hurt their feelings. I'm a strong proponent of that. You don't necessarily want to hurt their feelings, but you do need to communicate honestly about what your experience is. You know, it's not my intention to hurt your feelings, but I want to be clear. I want to set some borders, set some parameters. Communication is key when you're dealing with people who are attention seekers because you have the power to cut a lot of that stuff off. I'm just wondering if we know any attention seekers, if we've ever become attention seekers, and how are we dealing with that? Oh my goodness, you all. These conversations, these conversations are about inspiration, motivation, and challenging us. And I said as we're moving into the second half of the year, if we really are going to recognize our goals and our victories, we sometimes have to do the work. And this is a look at doing the work as it pertains to people in our space. And sometimes you have got to push people out of your space or tell them, if you're going to be in my space, if you're going to be in my space, this is what I need. So that's why a part of handling attention seekers is it's just communication and saying that this is what I need. This is how it's going to happen. This is what my space is going to look like. What happens, Color, when their attention seeking is just far gone? Counseling, therapy, professional help, all of those things are available. Because attention seeking could either come from, remember, a traumatic experience, or it could come from a mental disorder. And I don't want us to ever get to the point where we just dismiss things and just say things like, oh, they're crazy. There are such things as mental disorders. And no blame game and no shame in it. It happens. And it may have happened to some of the people in our lives. And maybe the reason that they are attention seekers is because of traumatic experiences and mental disorders. Let's refer them to counseling. Let's refer them to therapy. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, this young lady in Alabama really makes me think, you all, what could have happened in her life that she would fabricate a story like that over national news? It made national attention, received national attention. She might just be somewhere thrilled now and saying, I got everything I needed. I got everything I wanted. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. I've got to go, but let's not be attention seekers. Let's not look for other people to validate us, particularly when they don't have the power to validate us. Let's make sure that we recognize attention-seeking behavior in ourselves and in others. And let's be empowered to respond in a way that's beneficial to them and us in this situation. Like I said, sometimes you just want to give people the attention they need. Sometimes you just want to talk about the positivity, even in the bad situations. And at all times, you want to communicate about the truth of your experience and your interaction with them. Yes, you do. Those are the things that you want to do when you're dealing with attention seekers. All right, y'all, I'm going to go. So let's keep doing what we do. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Let's keep building community. Let's keep our heads up, keep our hopes up. Let's stay safe. Let's stay sane. Know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. And while there is so much love, please make sure that you tell somebody else, come on, let's talk to Cutler, and tell them, do not be an attention seeker, because it just doesn't look good on you. It just doesn't look good on you. I'll see you when I see you, and that'll be the next time. This is Tuesday. I'll see you Thursday. I'm not going to talk about attention seekers. I hope you all got something out of this. That article and that issue, that story just was something. I'm not going to do like some of my relatives. I'm not going to do like preachers who give benedictions 3 times. I said I got to go. I've got to go. I'll see you when I see you. Good night, everybody. Take care.